to the Integral Writers Support Pod. We are discussing our favorite writing resources, and I welcome everyone. And then we have a whole library of previous recordings, so please take a look. Let's go to Rashawn and hear about her favorite writing resource.
Well, mine is easy. My book that I keep working on that has been on the back burner for a while, and I really need to bring it up again. My book is about quotes about the self. So from Buddha, from Ken Wilber, from Sam Harris, from all these different people. I forget how many sources I have. Many, 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 many quotes about the self. What is it? Because there's a gazillion answers to that question. And so that's my resource is searching for quotes about the self on Google usually. Ta-da! I'm done.
Hey, thank you. Okay, I can go next because I actually prepared for this since Bet and I talk from time to time, and I knew I didn't want to just, I wanted to have something for her. So
Right.
I don't, as you folks who tuned in earlier know, I have a novel in progress. It's been on again, off again for a while. I've got 400 words, half of which are a hot mess, half of which could be read by another human being. And I am coming back to it in the wake of the big integral conference, and I'm diving in. I'm going to turn draft 2 into draft 3, which my goal is to make it readable by another human being all the way through. So I don't back up a bit. I have, over the last 3.5 decades, off and on, when I've been involved in writing, I have taken a lot of writers' workshops, classes, gone to some conferences, and so on. I don't generally go to books for craft of writing stuff, but I do have two. Let's see. Let me see if I can call up the chat. I have two resources that I came prepared to talk a little bit about today. Yeah, there they are. I'll pop them in the chat. The first is a book by John McPhee. John McPhee wrote for the New Yorker magazine, and he was one of their main ongoing writers. Everything he wrote is so beautifully written that you read the first few sentences and you cannot stop reading. He wrote an essay on limes and you can't stop reading it. He writes essays on geology. You can't stop reading it. A director of the New York, of the Metropolitan Museum, and he's just one of the most beautiful writers, and it's all journalistic stuff. It's very high level journalism. And his book, draft number 4, is his sort of memoir about doing what he did. And he gives tips about journalistic writing. It's not fiction writing, but it's just so beautiful to read. Just his writing is an example of how to do it. And he gives a lot of useful tips. I did not go back and reread it for this, but the two that I remember that it's been years since I read it, but the one that I remember is, now, of course, he was writing journalism, not fiction. So he was writing for nonfiction writers, but find the structure in your piece. And he was very careful, and it's a geometric shape. He said, now don't impose a structure on it from outside. After you've sat with your idea and you've gathered your material and you have it, allow the structure to emerge and suggest, which is something I suggest for life anyway. Allow the structures to emerge from the material. Don't try to impose something on it from the outside. And he gave some examples of other writing and his writing. And I think I was partway through draft 2 of my novel when I read that, and I thought about it and I realized my novel has the structure of a capital letter Q. It starts kind of, my heroine dies on page 3 very dramatically and goes into her astral body and settles down for her what she thinks is her past life review. And the story takes through the course of her life from her birth through to her very dramatic death. And then there's a Q, there's a curly Q. It comes back inside and then it goes on outside. But so I won't try to elaborate that any further, but the structure is an old-fashioned capital letter Q with a little curly Q at the bottom, when we all wrote by hand in cursive. So that has really helped me structure as other later pieces came in. That has really helped me fit stuff in. Let me see, what was the other I had one other piece of advice of his in mind that I can't remember offhand. Anyway, just John McPhee. That's just such a beautiful read. It's worth it anyway. The other one is one I have in hard copy by Jane Friedman, and this is for people who really want to get their writing out in the world. I met her at one of the conferences I went to, and I would be able to contact her again if I wanted to. But this goes through. I'll just go really quickly through. This is. Do you want to make a living as a writer? Yes, no, maybe. Here's what you need to know about it. Basically, don't quit your day job unless you're one of the very few. Uh, but she covers all the practicalities. This would be a really good place. Oh man, I should have tabbed this. Here we go. Making a life of a writer. Can you make a living as a writer? And so on. One of the things she discusses is pursuing a Master of Fine, an MFA degree. I have been in writers groups with MFAs, and they are without exception the best quality writers. But that doesn't mean they're going to be able to make a living doing it either. You know, they tend to end up teaching, right? Teaching at colleges, and then they publish small literary quality novels through boutique publishers. By the way, in mainstream literary circles, literary quality means low sales, right? You know, the bigs. So she goes in understanding the publishing industry, trade book, magazine, online and digital media, and literary publishing of the 21st century. She goes through the mainstream stuff, which is learning about how your book fits literary agents, writing query letters, researching agents and publishers. If we want to get our work, if we want to get our work out in front of a larger audience, or we want to make some significant money, we need to deal with the publishing industry. And she goes into it in detail. She covers it all: fiction, nonfiction, book queries, working with your publisher, self-publishing. I know David Combs and I know someone in our writers group who tried self-publishing and did not have a good experience with it. So you need, if you want to get your work out in any kind of scale, you need to know this stuff. Publishing short stories, writer as entrepreneur, building your platform, your online presence, website, social media, and more. I mean, this book, and that's the second one, Jane Friedman, The Business of Being a Writer. Excellent resource for that. Part 5, How Writers Make Money, and so on. Enough said. The other thing I will mention here for those of you who may not know is that this last year I stumbled across Cosmos Cooperative. I think most of you are aware of it. Um, this was started by Marco Morelli, who was one of Ken Wilber's integral kids. When he was in his 20s, he moved to Boulder to be part of Ken Wilber's movement. And he went through it, out through it. He did a lot of work with Ken Wilber. He was one of the 4 co-authors of Integral Life Practice. 10 years ago, he started an artists cooperative, and I'm very much involved in that now. David's in there. We have a writers group as part of it. David Combs, who's here, is in that too. And basically, we exist to support each other. And Marco has some serious chops in marketing from his past experience with Ken Wilber's Integral Life. And they are recently expanding. They've just recently gotten some donations. They're hiring marketing people, the back office stuff. They're actually starting to be able to pay people to do the real work. So this is turning into a really serious, larger scale organization. And we can, as creative members, we can contribute by putting in, by helping out with other people's stuff, and then they help out with our stuff. Eventually, we're going to monetize that too. So that's a resource for those of you who are not aware of it. If you'd like the support of a community, that's a place I would highly recommend. And I will type that into, let's see, Cosmos Cooperative. Oops, I'll pop that up in the chat, and then that's my report is finished. Unless anybody has any comments or questions.
No.
right, who's next?
I'll jump in if you like.
All right.
I do a professional development session every day. And my primary activity, well, I shouldn't say primary. The first thing I do is I choose one of the books out of my library, and I take the first paragraph and of that book, and then I type it out 10 times. And then I analyze it in detail for character, setting, tone, literary, quality of language, all the different things that and of course I know these are books that I know because I've read them, and I just get the reason I choose the first paragraph is because it's common advice that is you work really hard to get your first paragraph perfect, because that's the one that's going to sell the book. Of course, Hemingway said you have to work on the last paragraph too. He said because the first sentence sells the book, the last sentence sells the next book. So, but anyway, that's kind of my daily exercise, and it gives me great insight into, because I see the way, the people that I consider to be the real greats, the Tolstoys, the Joyces, the Prousts of the world, to see how they were able to accomplish the thing that everybody has to be able to do if they're going to write successful fiction. And quite often it's a case of, you can see, okay, there's two birds killed one, or one stone killed two birds, or three birds, or four birds. It's just amazing that, and I guess one piece of advice that I remember always is when you're writing dialogue, if you can write a piece of dialogue that captures character, setting, and conflict in one sentence, then that's a keeper. You got to make sure that stays in your book, sort of thing. So I'm always looking for that level of craft in the works of the greats, and of course, by typing it out 10 times, it kind of embeds it in my subconscious. So I'm hoping, I'm not going to try and copy them, but I'm hoping that some of the message kind of lands and stays, it sticks, and makes me a better writer. And then the other half of my professional development is I'll read a book on the craft. And right now I'm reading this one, which you probably can't see in the dark. It's The Art of Subtext by Charles Baxter. And subtext, I think, is, at least currently, I'm thinking subtext is the ultimate writing technique. Or that's not right. If you can master subtext really, really well, then your fiction is going to have that level of sophistication about it, which is going to be unequaled. And in fact, as I say that, I remember that my morning exercise was the opening paragraph of Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, and it's pure subtext. It's the guy saying he's finally going to go on this expedition, which has preoccupied his imagination for several days, and the way he foresees it, and so on. And of course, I'm reading it, and of course, without saying it in any words at all, you can realize that the character of this guy, who turns out to be the butler, is that he's not at all decisive. Like he calls it, and he lives in a very small world. So for him, a 5-day vacation is an expedition out into the greater world, and so there was so much character captured in the way that this paragraph was written, and the whole rest of the book, for the matter of that. It's like it's pure subtext, and I thought, that is what I need to be able to do to consider myself to be a better writer than I am. Sometimes I can pull it off, but not as often as I would like. So I guess
to be
that would be my resource, my writing resource.
well, to be the writer you want to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
moving target.
yeah.
So
Wow.
So you
Well, I
have
guess
so
I'll
this so
go.
you have a daily little exercise you do.
yeah, about an hour every morning
Wow.
with my
Yeah.
morning coffee. Just
Hardcore. Okay. So the book I'm going to share is Ursula K. Le Guin's Steering the Craft. And that one also has exercises in it. And I'm enjoying that. I'm still working through it very slowly. So I'm not done with it yet. But it's been fun. And I write it out by hand on my big sheet of paper, which is how I love writing. You can't see this either, which is good because no one else can read it. Um, but yeah, I've been enjoying doing those exercises, like making the longest sentence ever, like a 200-word sentence, and it's fun. And I love sci-fi, and I like her as a writer, so it's good to find a writer that you like. Um, I I don't know. I actually like my husband and I are listening to another sci-fi book together, and I should just go and copy sentences like you are, David, but I'm just listening and I'm like, wow, that was a good one. Oh, that was a good one. It's like, yeah, these sentences are just so good. And my husband's really into the writing too, and we'll stop it and like talk about that sentence that we just heard. Um, yeah. So just listening to books really mindfully is also a good way to hear. And that's
Mm.
something that Ursula talks about is to hear, to create your hearing as a writer, to hear the words. So those are my two resources. So who's next?
Jasmine.
Yeah. Well, as a baby writer, who I will say that if I'm really going to hone a craft, it's far more likely to be visual art or architecture. But for some reason, writing has grabbed me, and so I'm going to explore it wherever it goes. I also happen to have Steering the Craft out from the library there,
Wow.
um, but I'm yet to dive into it, and I've got it out, but I've I've not dived into many books because I've normally been more of a fiction writer. No, sorry, a nonfiction writer. So I'm really curious now to go into a more imaginary, creative territory, which I find fascinating for my own journey, irregardless of whether anything I write gets published or not. It's definitely helping to shape me. So yeah, I guess I will say first of all, groups like this for me right now are a brilliant resource. Just hearing other people's journeys and just having these conversations and everything else everyone's bringing to the table. So I really like this topic. Um, the other books I've got in my little library is Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, and
Yes.
another one called Ensouling Language by Harold Stephen Booner, and that is on the art of nonfiction and the writer's life. I've only read parts of this book, but I might be revisiting it
You,
as I
you
go
put them
as well.
you put them in the chat.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll add them in the mix. Um,
I'm just buying these right now.
I just
Clicking on them, buying them all. Yeah.
I
So
am too.
yeah, and I'm a major library fan. I've usually got about 20 books out from the library at any
Yeah.
time. Maybe not quite that many, but between 10 and 20. And but I love the idea of writing, the writers I do like writing down and
Mhm.
practicing their sentences. So I love that. And also on structure, which Karen touched on, um, I was really inspired by a book by Cynthia Bourgeault which is called The Eye of the Heart, which isn't on writing, but she does talk about chiastic patterns. And at the time, I wasn't writing, but I was just living my own life, and I was like recognizing the chiastic pattern of my own journey, and which is the topic of what I'm writing about, but I'm actually now going to put it into fiction so I can have more fun with it. But yeah, and I really like that point about not trying to force the pattern onto something, but letting it show itself, and possibly when it does, you can play with it more. But yeah, I think and the chiastic pattern I've noticed in mine is that the center of it, and the idea is that the beginning. Does everyone here know what a chiastic pattern is?
No, please
Yeah.
explain.
Okay. Yeah. It is actually a literary writing device. And it's when, so if you imagine A, B, C, D, and D is the pivotal point of the story, and then everything from D then reverses C, B, A. And the first A is kind of sets the problem or the issue, perhaps. And then the final A is when it's realized on a whole new level. Like the book will sort of mirror itself. But it doesn't have to be an exact even ABC, because sometimes the pivot I've found that the middle point has a way of um, meeting what's come before in a different way. But it does get remet on either side. So yeah, and of course the hero's journey is very much in a way a natural chiastic pattern.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed learning about at least that structure and watching some YouTube videos of different writers talking about how it shows up. Um, I can't think of anything else at the moment
What's like
other
the
than
most famous person that's used that structure? Is it something we would have recognized?
Beowulf.
oh,
Yeah.
With who?
Tolkien.
Yeah,
it's also
Tolkien.
in the Bible.
Beowulf is written in that structure, so Tolkien used it.
Oh, Beowulf. I just read Beowulf, before breakfast normally. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't read
Yeah.
Beowulf, guys. I'm sorry. But I
I
did read
have.
Tolkien. So Tolkien uses it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Returns to the Shire. It's the
I
hero's
see.
journey.
Okay, so it's not
But Barrett,
Narnia. Narnia would follow that.
A lot of books do, a lot of I mean, that's the hero's journey, which I guess is, sort
yes.
of the thing. I'm been told a lot of Japanese anime does.
Oh,
It's very heavily on the chiastic pattern. The Bible has got it throughout it in multiple ways. Like so many stories in the Bible are written in that pattern. So, I thought it was a Greek style. Yeah. Yeah, so
thank
I
you.
found that kind of fascinating, but I also love how it can show up naturally in a well-written story. But it's can be quite fascinating if you're planning it out and you can go, oh yeah, that actually matches that and that. And it can help you see things in your own writing in a deeper way too, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's everything. I guess I just draw a lot from my own experience in life and nature and
Yeah.
yeah, the inspiration that comes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Gary, you're next.
Um,
Your hand up. Hmm.
everybody's freezing on it.
Mm.
Is it my link or is that happening for everybody?
Mm-mm.
I'm not.
Not for me. Must be on your end.
Yeah, it's not happening for
Okay,
me.
I think I'll go out and come back
Okay.
Okay.
because I'm having trouble even following your conversations because it keeps
Mm.
cutting out.
Well, we are recorded.
Sorry. Yeah. All right, who's next? Is everyone gone?
No, we
No.
still have John and Rashawn.
Gone.
I went first.
Oh, that's right. You did. Sorry. John.
That's why.
She jumped in so fast. All right, John.
All
I hope
right.
you're ready.
Yeah, I'll say something. The best thing to say is I've been lost in the weeds. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, I met. I started writing about integral elderhood, and my background is in philosophy and psychotherapy and whatever. So that was sort of a natural kind of piece. Now, my my main my main resources for this, of course, has been uh, Ken Wilber, and I was telling Karen, I met with Ken about 6 years ago on the topic of writing about integral elderhood, and 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 he certainly encouraged me in terms of saying, look, this is probably going to be important because people are going to be living longer and longer. But I've written a number of pieces on it, but I'm stuck. And as far as my resources, um, what to say? I read a lot of science fiction,
Mm.
and I just read a lot in general. Um, I uh, oh, reading A World Appears by oh gosh,
Yeah.
Michael Pollan.
yes, Michael Pollan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Um, but anyway, I'm glad to be here. I suppose you know and at this point I'm not sure where to go from here. I've written a number of different pieces that might make more sense to put into a series of essays at some point. But
Mhm.
I'm very interested in how elderhood develops and how we move into elderhood, and what integral elderhood would look like. So, I mean, I'm not sure what else to say for right now. I appreciate being with you in this group. It's my first time, and it's very interesting to hear what you have to say.
Mm.
If you don't mind my asking, just how would you define your stuckness? What's the choke point? Can you put it in words?
Well, I'm not sure where to go from here. I've got, I'm looking at the nature of elderhood and the nature of integral as integral connects with elderhood. And anyway, uh, that's where I'm at. I don't have a lot more to say about all that right now.
Have you thought about just publishing it as a series of articles on Substack?
I haven't. Karen was mentioning Substack, and
Yeah.
I think that might be a good idea for me to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's extremely easy. It's like 3 clicks and you can start getting feedback on what you're doing and where to go with it. People will not be shy to tell you what they think.
great, great. Uh,
Yes, I think Bet and Gary, but don't both of you have regular? Don't you publish regular articles on Substack?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
yeah.
Rashawn,
All
I
right.
do.
I've
Oh,
got a few. I'm not posting regularly, but yes.
so
Thank
that's
you.
three right here who are
Mhm.
paving the way.
Well,
Thank you.
Bet, I don't know how you do it, Bet,
I
but
know.
I've been doing it for 3 years.
54.
I probably can't
Wow.
comment.
I have a ton more that I just need to get around to working on.
Wow.
Yeah, I just sit here out here and meditate and write thoughts down. I want to do a fight between I want to how they used to have celebrity like boxing matches,
Right.
I want to have a fight between desire and habit, mindset and state, emotion and mindset, emotion and state, state and habit, knowledge and belief. I want to have like all of these fight against and like which one wins, right?
Mm.
Is it your habits or your state? Anyways, that's my latest from
I
yesterday.
want to read that next
I
week.
know.
Okay.
It's
Fun to
next
see
week.
it.
Next week is on garbage collection.
Okay.
So I'm gonna work on that one. That one will come later. But I mean, we're building these things and they really take over, you know?
Yeah.
So Gary, do you want to try talking again?
Yeah, let me know if I'm breaking up. Okay, it's funny. Somebody was talking about their morning writing routine, and I'm pretty severely ADHD, and I can't take medications for it. And so my daily writing routine is every day is different. And so what I'm finding is that I had a conversation with Claude AI this morning, and we developed a daily writing routine. Interesting that it came up today.
Nice.
Yeah.
That
Sweet
I did
synchronicity.
this, and so I'm interested in getting trying that out to see if I can get myself kind of I don't know, anchored some way in a way of doing this, because part of what I'm dealing with right now is a plethora of ideas and a real difficulty getting them under control.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. I don't have writer's block, but I do have about 100 unfinished drafts in my Substack.
Wow.
So it's kind of I'm not very good at closure. It's sort of like the shiny thing that comes by me distracts me from finishing things. So
You know what I do, Gary?
I actually
I put my headphones on, I put my favorite track, and I just work, and I don't let myself get distracted. It's all about
oh
putting the right music on for me, Gary. Does that work?
well I've done a lot of stream of consciousness kind of thing, and that's often you know the as Anne Lamott would call it, the shitty first draft, and then you work from there. And uh, I do know that my first draft off is really bad, and but I've come to accept that and deal with that. And one thing that's really kind of nice about AI is that it can often really clean up a crappy first draft, um, and get you, you know, 2 or 3 drafts down the road in one draft. So I'm struggling with it. And in some respects, AI has made my job harder.
How so?
Harder. Too many ideas. I'll have I'll just share with you. I think I've shared with Karen this idea. I have a round table that I've created in Claude in one of the projects, and the round table includes 7 of the developmental researchers. They all sit around the table, and I bring up a topic, and they talk about it. You know, I give them a question, and they're off to their races. And you know, I could probably come up with out of one question, I probably come up with 5 different posts out of that. So I'm having a little bit of trouble with designing prompts that help me to converge rather than diverge.
Right. Interesting. So that's your challenge, is to, out of this constantly multiplying series of interesting ideas, to pick the ones to follow and complete. That's your challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I was realizing and listening to everybody there is that I don't have any real training as a writer. I worked in government bureaucracy for 40 years and did a lot of training manuals, a lot of instruction manuals, a lot of how to do things, a lot of documentation of processes, that kind of thing. And so one of the things that I'm really good at, as my wife says, I'm really good at explaining how the watch works and forgetting to tell you what time it is. That there's so much background that I bury my lead all the time in the details. So that's one of the things that I'm finding out from submitting my stuff to Claude, is that I'll send a draft into Claude and it'll say, well, your lead's in the penultimate paragraph here, so you got to move it forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make me host, but I had a comment for Gary. I've read his stuff, and what I love, Gary writes beautiful sentences. His experience in administrative work, he has honed a really clear, lucid style. So now you have Claude to help you with kind of putting the larger puzzle together, but each piece is clear, beautiful, lucid, and just a pleasure to read.
Oh, well, thank you.
You guys, I would say another inspiration for me is Instagram and TikTok. I don't actually watch TikTok, but like trying to write a good hook. Like my most I think last week's post was I looked in the mirror and I'd aged 10 years. By the way, that's because I went to Denver. The air was so hot there. Like I don't know about you, Rashawn and Karen, but I aged 10 years. And so I did the thing that everyone would normally do and break all the mirrors in my house. So it's like a hook, right? I'm like, and then I talked about how AI is just a reflection of us, and that if we want AI to be better, we should get better and become better people. Everything I write is about agency. So, but like you have to see what are the YouTubers and what are the Instagram people, how do they hook us and pull us in? I think that's a really good way to teach yourself to write in this modern TikTok brain area, and Gary, maybe this is good. Like you have an insight into the ADHD brain of Gen Alpha or whatever they are. I don't even know. But yeah, that's really what I think is like, how do you grab their attention in like 5 seconds and pull them in, bait and switch? That's really what it is.
I'm wondering if that could be a topic for our session next month.
Bait and switch.
Just how do you pull them in?
How do you pull them in?
How do you grab a reader's attention and pull it in?
Let's all do it. We can all share our favorite writers and how they do it and techniques. I'll put it on the website. All right, okay. I'm gonna head out, people. It was super fun. Loved it. I've already bought like 5 of these books, and wonderful. And I'm gonna ask my AI to analyze my book for this chiastic, and see if I'm doing it. You guys are so great. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you, Beck.
Bye.
Bye. And I need to go too.
Okay.
It's great to see you all. And thanks.
Great to see you too, John. Good luck with everything.
Bye, John.
Bye.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Gary, have you read much Russian fiction?
Oh, no. No, I haven't.
Because a lot of Russian authors choose government bureaucrats as their protagonists.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's what I do know. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. They tend to be rather grim.
I'm writing in the Russian tradition.
That's why I don't read a whole lot of Russian literature. But I would like to encourage. Go ahead, David.
I was going to say that's my third after American and British writers. I would say Russian is probably my third largest stock of Yeah.
Interesting. That would be an interesting topic for you. I'd like to kind of uh, uh, glean ideas for future sessions like this from you. What really interests you? So yes, who are your favorite writers, and what about them appeals to you? That's a good one. Something I would throw into the pot maybe later down is my background is in the humanities. I have read a quarter of the Aeneid in Latin. I've read Beowulf in the original Anglo-Saxon. I've read Chaucer in Middle English. I know a lot about the history of the English language, and English itself, the language has layers. And one of the things about doing the kind of writing I need to do is, which layer am I using? Am I using the pithy Anglo-Saxon four-letter words? Am I using the flowing French-based language of Chaucer? Am I using the literate Latinate of later stuff? I mean, English itself. I was in a conference once with Suzanne Cook-Reuter. Is the English language itself a colonizing power? And I realized the English language itself is the result of four layers of colonization, as different peoples conquered England, and then their language became the language of the ruling class and kind of assimilated up and down through. So just kind of, and Tolkien used that masterfully. So how the English language has layers, that's something I'd be willing to do as a session. That would probably be more for well, no, I could see that being useful for writers of nonfiction as well as fiction, just being aware. It's kind of like a potter being aware of the quality of clay you're using, or a cook being aware of the quality of the ingredients. So that's something I could throw into the pot. I was wondering, does anybody else have something that really interests you, or a subject you'd love to see somebody else cover in one of these sessions? You have any ideas, you can throw them in the pot now, or we can think about it for later sessions.
Yeah.
I would
Nothing
say
comes to
maybe,
mind now. What?
But
I was going to say maybe quotes from that really light us up.
quotes that light
Mm.
us up.
Mm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Is anybody
Mm-hmm.
familiar with oh God, I got to think of his name now. I have to go look.
Yes, and gripping, maybe opening paragraphs, opening sentences, opening paragraphs that
Mm.
grab you
Yeah.
and pull you in. Famous opening.
Right.
One of my favorites. I cannot remember the author or the title, but it was a science fiction fantasy writer in the 90s. His first sentence was, quote, "Denver pissed him off." I thought, wow, you can't not keep reading after that. So,
Mhm.
so okay, quotes that light us up and brilliant opening
Mhm.
sentences.
Yeah.
Gary, did you come up with anything?
So the author I was thinking of was Stephen Johnson, and he one of the books he wrote was Where Good Ideas Come From. Stephen Johnson he's a nonfiction writer, and he has a kind of a wide range of subjects that he's written on. And the guy is I went down a rabbit hole listening to him last week for 2 or 3 hours.
Mm.
There's an AI called Notebook LM,
Mm.
and basically it's a AI in which you supply all of the data. So you have 25 articles on a particular subject. You input all that into a notebook in this application, and then it goes through and finds all the different themes and all of that kind of stuff. And he was because he has done research on so many different subjects over the years, he was hired by Google to help them develop the application. He's kind of a walking notebook LM.
Wow.
And it was just fascinating to listen to him talk to the interviewer about kind of the thinking that went into the application. But even if you're not interested in the application, it was really interesting to hear somebody talk about developing nonfiction books And how do you accumulate the information? How do you put it together? How do you find unusual themes in this stuff? You know, themes, he's always looking for a theme that nobody else thought of before in you know, particular subject matter.